I wanted to quickly give some updates on, of course, the very interesting situation that we have found ourselves as the Smash community, and of course, give my point of view really quick on what's going on. There should also be a thread, I believe, of a Japanese player that posted their current experiences with getting an application for their tournaments with Nintendo. So let me just TLDR really quick. What I want to offer is a glimmer of hope, potentially, on things to come. Because I know how I get. I know how we've all gotten. I know that we've basically been, you know, we're upset. We're all very, very upset on how things go. We've all been, you know, burned enough times on this topic to know why it's frustrating for everyone. But I'll try and summarize it. Essentially, it seems that as of, you know, 2024 or even November 15th, whenever the rules are applied, you're gonna need a license to operate as a large or relatively large tournament within here, North America, Europe, and Japan. And it doesn't take that long to know, you know, what it means to not have a license. When you don't have a license, you have to go through a bunch of parameters that include an entry limit, a fee limit. You can only do non-profit events. You can only do things with no sponsors, no likenesses. There's a ton of red tape that you have to walk over if you're doing an event without a license. Okay. At the point I am with my career and my life, if I run any more events in Smash, namely Coinbox, I'm going to need a license. It's one of those things that's unavoidable. It's only a matter of time, I feel, before I'm contacted or reached out. And my question is, now that we've seen in Japan, we've seen other tournament organizers successfully get licenses for their tournaments within a day turnaround, is what I heard. So almost instantaneously. They've received their license. So I still don't know what the licenses will entail for North America. I still don't have any idea, because I know in Japan they have their own rules, they have their own stuff. I have no idea what licenses look like in America, but at least in Japan, they received, I think it was Sumabato, but someone correct me, they got 10 licenses in a single day for their next 10 events. And to me, that's good. That's good. I still have to understand what the license means, but if it's quick and simple, that is only a good thing. Barely a day after the new guidelines, Japan's biggest regional, Sumabato, that's their biggest regional, has acquired Nintendo rights to run the tournaments for the next 10 iterations. This bodes incredibly well for acquiring rights in the US and means that most majors can continue running events. So this part didn't surprise me too much. I knew that the ones that were already big can continue running events. Mind you, this is only Ultimate. We're still in complete obscurity about Melee and how they're going to handle that, in North America at least. Still in obscurity about that, so we're going to see it. But at least there's this, right? I've checked the form Japanese TOs can use to gain a license for non-profit organizations. I've read through the form, but I'll guide you through it. And I just wanted to quickly do this. Firstly, Japanese TOs can access this form through a link down there. Nintendo Europe makes no mention of any date. Nintendo America, this form is available early November, right? I think it says right there, early November. I assume November 15th was a thing. On the next page, Nintendo explains this is the form to apply for license and asks for your compliance for the guidelines. It says in bold red letters, it says currently we are not accepting applications for a license for commercial game tournaments, so only non-profit. Under that, you can choose what kind of organization your tournament is hosted by. See the second screenshot for a translation of these selectable organizations. Most Smash TOs will fall under option 6, non-profit organizations, public institutions, local governments. So that's us down there. Game tournament hosted by non-profit orgs, public institutions, and local government. I guess Liquid's a local government. Let's see what that means pretty much. Note that if you click on option 2, game stores, option 3, media-related organization, or option 4, commercial for profit, it will ask you to return saying you cannot apply currently. For option 7, influencers, it'll refer you to the forum network services. So there's no for-profit option available as of now, which means, again, it's going to be kind of weird. And this is, one more time, this is for Japan. Who knows what it'll look like for North America. But at least for Japan, it seems that it's strictly only for nonprofit. Now onto the form itself. After having picked option 6 nonprofit organizations, first you pick a title. All of them are Switch titles, one of which is Ultimate, as is known already, no Melee, right? And again, this is someone who did, this is like one of the people who did like the 1-day application turnarounds. So basically, from what we know so far, you would have to go here, click nonprofit, click here Melee, or click here Ultimate, and then you have to specify if your tournament is online or offline, specify the game, the date it'll be held, which means I probably have to apply for every coin box for the 2024 if I do this. Briefly explain what kind of tournament you're holding, what kind of rules you're using. Specifying, even for instance, if you said something was Steve banned or not Steve banned, it'd be okay. Or who knows? Who knows if they're even going to allow it? Because the fact that they specify the rules means that Nintendo might only allow certain rules. Could you imagine if licensing means... Actually, if you get a license, you're probably not able to ban Steve. This is actually very interesting. In case you're hosting a series of the same tournament, how often? Oh, relevant for non-profit weeklies. You can choose up to 10 times. Oh my god. I mean, it's not my event. It's Liquid's event. Liquid is going to be the one filling out this form. So we have to do every 10 coin boxes. So I have to fill out this form every 2 months is what I'm going to have to do. After agreeing, you can request a modification of the guideline. You can ask for an increase in the max number of players, increase in entrance fee. So we're going to do this first one. And of spectators, will be online. Something else want to modify. You think that means I can get a license for Ultimate and say we only want to use Melee characters, Melee physics, Melee stages? So far, this is the only thing I've seen so far that gives me any credence of like a loophole for adding Melee, or a loophole of adding Coinbase to pay for the event, right? But so far, if they're specifying it's non-profit, I'm wondering how that works. After this, they ask for your personal data, information about your organization, and practical information about the tournaments. Emphasizing this, as of current, all of this is for non-profit organizations. What possibilities and restrictions are there for for-profit organizations? I have no clue. Nintendo has not publicly released guidelines. So yeah, hopefully that cleared up something. I imagine the application process for this application process that we're gonna have to use in North America is very similar to this. It's gonna be very similar. As far as I can tell, the licenses don't cost money. I think Meru would have pointed that out here. But I will say Nintendo definitely has to. They definitely have to make this commercial part available soon. But I'm making this for the following reason. I'm sure any Nintendo rep that has seen my channel or my profile has so many different instances of me, you know, showing how frustrated I am with the company, showing how upset I am at things that happened, and honestly, rightfully so, I have the right to be upset over the way that a lot of things have happened, the way they've been running a lot of things, the way they have approached many things, especially things like EVO 2013. I mean, it's just unpermissible. What I'm trying to say is I want to believe that eventually the sun does rise, that eventually there's some light at the end of this tunnel where the other party understands somewhat what the first party is going through. And the only reason that I have this sort of hopium right now is seeing how quickly people got the licenses. Because that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case for a very long time. And as the TO of the largest online Smash series, actually the biggest fighting game weekly series in the world, from what I know, my responsibility is to ensure that this tournament series stays alive. For the sake of my own career, for the sake of my own community, for the sake of Liquid and its vested partners, my responsibility is to ensure Coinbox keeps going. So, as it stands, the current plan that I would have is to apply for a license to make Coinbox, or to legitimize Coinbox as an event. And when I read a lot of these guidelines that were posted, it seemed, part of me thought that some of them were directly targeted at Coinbox, which I wouldn't be surprised, right? I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they obviously know about this series. They obviously know about it. Then they haven't reached out to me ever, probably because they were waiting for, you know, PR stuff to cool down. But if it's possible for me to go to Nintendo, my point is, when I do this, if we apply for a license and We get it. Clearly, some sacrifices have to be made. I've been talking about having a good middle ground. I think the sacrifice that we're going to have to make is to remove Melee Coinbox. Legally, I just don't see a way around it. I would love for both to continue, right? But if it's like a good faith thing where they're like, you can't run this because it's a modded version of the game and this is now a licensed event. If that's the case, it's a decision that's gonna have to be made, because legally, if it comes to it, it's gonna be you either do both tournaments like a felon under the wind until you get a cease and desist, or you get to keep Ultimate and have it be kosher with Nintendo too. That's the only two way outs that that's the only. It's either have neither or have only Ultimate, right? And that's kind of the outs that I currently see. I think, like, more or less. Obviously it's tricky, but I want to believe that there is some hope left. Okay, so what I'm asking everyone is for just the short time being, gently put down your pitchforks and let's see what the NA terms are first. Because I think if the sort of the quote unquote bloodshed continues between the Smash community and Nintendo, I'm the angriest person here at them, obviously. But if this continues, there will be no progress on either side ever again. There'll be nothing left. There'll be nothing left, right? So I need to see what this looks like first. As a TO and as a community leader, there is a responsibility for me to ensure this series continues. Hold on to the last bit of hopium that you have left, because this might be all we have left. And hopefully we'll be able to do Coinbox in 2024. Hopefully, all right. And I'm speaking with Liquid. I'm speaking with Coinbase. We want to at least attempt to do things the right way. And like I said, you asked me a month ago, I would have said no shot. This would never happen. They're never gonna honor any of this. But the fact that there's one-day turnarounds for licenses in Japan shows me something shifted at Nintendo. Something shifted at Nintendo recently. I have no idea what it was, but something clearly has shifted. Allowing a license turnaround that quickly feels like a tectonic plate shift, in my opinion, with a force on the ground so massive that I can feel it all the way here in Florida. The idea would be, if this tournament series doesn't turn a profit, technically speaking, like, you can't have sponsors if you're unlicensed, right? You can't have sponsors if you're a community event. The goal is to move this from a community event to a licensed event. Makes sense? The money that Coinbase gives us, we give right back to the players. And if you're licensed, there probably is no limit on entrance. If you're licensed, there is no limit probably on the amount of money you can give. There's a lot of ways to get around those guidelines if you're licensed, okay? So right now, my responsibility is getting a proper license and doing things, trying at least do things right. So like I said, everyone, just for now, put down your pitchforks, because I think Nintendo, if they're willing to work with us, it's going to be a lot easier for them to work with me without the constant smear thrown, okay? I'm trying to throw any kind of remaining white flag here for the sake of our tournament. Does that make sense? I'd rather have it than not have it. So I'm doing my best here. I'm trying to do it. I think there is a way out. I think there is a light at the tunnel, and we just have to wait and see, okay? Because my gut feeling is that something shifted over there. My videos will remain live on YouTube, because I do think the community guidelines are still, I don't agree with a lot of them. And given the past, I think it's very rightfully just to be upset at them. But the fact that they're sort of offering this way out to avoid these very annoying guidelines means maybe they somewhat understand now. That's the approach that we're going to do. I would be completely heartbroken if this series ended fully, and I would at least like to have Ultimate Coin Boxes every week for the next year, okay? Granted, maybe there's that miracle % chance that because Melee is, abandonware, or because there's no license at all offered for Melee, that it's kind of in its own deserted world and you can do as you please with it. That would be beautiful. That would be absolutely beautiful. But we'll have to see. And like I said, you have tons of lawyers and people who are familiar with law looking through these documents, seeing how sound it all is. They're going through all of it, and we're taking it one day at a time. So that's where we're at. There remains some level of hope with this, and a ceasefire on both sides would be ideal at this point. Because if they decide, I'll tell you this much, and maybe there's a Nintendo rep who's going to watch this video. and see it. If Nintendo decides to work with Coinbox, which is currently one of the biggest events in the community for providing funds to members of the community, to commentators and top players, if they decide to give us their blessing for this, the impact that would make as a statement from the company, from a PR standpoint, on the rest of the community would show a clear cultural shift in how they approach esports. It would prove to the entirety of North America, it would prove to the entirety of the Western Smash world that they now somewhat seem to understand how important tournaments are for a large subset of their player base, competitors, and people who want to make a career in esports. So if they want to work together, I'm willing to work with them. Anyways, that's where we're at. Cross your fingers, hope for the best, and press 1 for that run, because it might be all we got right now.